Alright guys, so here's the review of the San Martin SN0026GA. So this is another one of their original designs, so I've been trying it out for a while. Full disclosure, I was sent the watch for free, don't have to send it back, but you know the score. It's not going to change the way I do my reviews, going to keep it 100% honest all the time, no matter what. So before we jump into this, I've actually got a discount code, so if you use the discount code HONESTREVIEW, you'll get $20 off. And I think that's store-wide. If you spend over $200, you'll get $20 off. So nice little bonus there. But let's get down to the watch, see if you're going to want to pick this one up, if you think it's an homage, or if you think it's original. Let's dive right in and find out. So here it is. I'm not going to show you the packaging because it comes in the usual new San Martin packaging. I'll probably leave a picture on screen in case you don't know. But this is the watch. So as I said, pretty sure this is an original design, and I actually really like it. I particularly really like that case shape. Nice curvature to those lugs to help it conform to wrist. So it does wear really nicely, which I'll show you in a bit. When it comes to the dial, just quickly get a zoom in and then we'll talk about this a bit more. So I know some people aren't going to be keen on that branding at the top there. So they do actually have a sterile dial option, so it won't have that if you do prefer it. So it is nice that they give you the option with that. They also give you a couple of movement options as well. So with this one I've got the PT5000, but they also do it with an SW200 if you prefer, but obviously that's going to be quite a bit more expensive. And we've got a nice signed crown there, the San Martin logo. It's a little bit annoying that it doesn't match the dial, so you've got the different ones, but you've got the same one on the clasp. So they are pretty much sticking with this one on most of the watches. Obviously with this being a slightly more vintage kind of look, they've gone with the more vintage logo. Do I like it? I don't mind it. I think I probably would have preferred the sterile one, if I'm being honest. But it still looks good. One thing I'm not too sure about though, is these indices. I think the font might be a little bit off. It doesn't really suit the rest of the watch, I don't think. I think they should have gone with a different font. Not entirely sure, but something just doesn't quite look right. So I'll quickly zoom out now, and then we'll talk about the dimensions on this. So we've got a thickness of 11.2, diameter of 38, lug width of 20, and then the all-important lug to lug. Because these links drop down straight away because the female end links, it's literally actually slightly inside the actual lugs. So it is going to wear really nicely on wrist, especially with that shape as I said before. And then we've got a lug to lug of 47. So really nice overall dimensions. When it comes to the bracelet though, no issues with that at all. Tolerance is absolutely brilliant. The way it matches the case. And then these are all individual pieces, these links as well. So they all individually articulate. Do really like that. And it is actually a screw link bracelet as well. Another thing I'm not too keen on is this. There's only 2 levels of micro adjust. I think you need to have at least 3 on a watch. 2 just isn't enough. But again, other than that, really nice clasp with the San Martin logo. Nice chamfered detail on the edge. Milled clasp. When it comes to the case back, just sterile, but it's a screw down case back. And I'll show you in a bit what it's actually like on wrist. Before we do that though, let's check whether we've got sapphire crystal. Using the trusty diamond selector too. And yep, we have got sapphire crystal. So it's good to see. And it is actually ever so slightly curved. let's test out what the Lume's like on this. And you can see we've got a bit there already, but let's charge it up, give it a proper chance. And there we go. So again, with my camera it's coming up slightly blue. Give it a second or two, it will actually correct because it is actually C3 and that'll come up green. So yeah, there we go, it's more like it. So really evenly applied, no patchiness at all. Pretty consistent across the hands and the indices, although those indices aren't applied, they're only printed. But they still seem to last a pretty good amount of time, so they managed to get quite a bit on there, which is probably why they look a little bit green even when they're not lit up. So I know that might put some people off. Again, I personally don't mind it. I think it kind of goes with the aesthetic of the watch that it's going for overall. And again, just really good lume, as you kind of expect with St. Martin. Not the best of their watches, but obviously it's not a diver, so you don't really expect it. But for what it is, good lume. Oh, I forgot to mention, we've actually got 100 meters water resistance on this. And as I said, the movement on this particular version, this is the PT5000, so we've got screw down crown, pop it out once. We've actually got a ghost date position because the PT5000 has a date function. So pop it out again, second hand stops, we've got hacking, and then obviously we can change the time. Pop it back in, second hand re-engages, and then we've got hand winding. Slightly tighter hand winding than some other movements, but I'm kind of used to it now because I've got quite a few PT5000 watches in my collection. So if you are a little worried about that, you don't need to be. Works just fine. I've not had any issues with any of my PT5000 watches at all. So as far as I'm concerned, they're pretty reliable movements. A couple of them I actually had for a couple of years now, I think. And again, no issues at all. So all it's left to do now is show you what it's like on wrist, and then we'll wrap this up. So this is what it looks like on my 7-inch wrist. And as I said, it does wear really nicely. Love the way the case just catches the light and the way it's shaped. Just looks really good. Same with the bracelet as well. Nice polished details along the edge. On those edge links, sorry. Still not entirely sure about the numerals on that dial. I think they could either need a different font or make them slightly smaller maybe. Something just doesn't quite look right. But overall I do quite like it still. The major issue I have though is with this. I need another level of micro adjust really. This is a bit tight for my liking. But if I take out another link and have it on the other level of micro adjust, it's a bit too loose. So I've had to go with it being slightly too tight for my liking over it being too loose and it just like flapping around a bit. So a little disappointing there. I really wish they'd add another level of micro adjust on their clasps. Because other than that, and the slight issue I have with the numerals, it's a really good watch. So if you do want to pick one up, use the discount code HONESTREVIEW, you can get an extra $20 off. And I think that applies to anything on the store as well. If you spend $200 or more, you'll get $20 off. So between that and the other discounts that you'll probably get during the sale that's on at the moment, I think you're going to get a good deal. I'd definitely go for the PT5000 over the SW200 though. I think the SW200 just isn't worth the extra in my opinion, because the movements are more or less the same. Obviously one is Swiss, one is Chinese, but they're both derivatives of a different movement anyway. So I don't think it makes too much difference. But that's it for this one guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.